Hey guys, it's been quite a while since I streamed. This is not going to be a regular thing. I have a full-time job and whatnot, but this is kind of impromptu. It has to do with another custody case that's been brought to my attention. I've not received the court documents, um, for it, but I want to show you what a lot of parents are dealing with. And there's all different sides when it comes to the custody situation, comes to the family courts. We've seen it with Save James, we've seen it with Save Miles. There's a little bit we've seen with Henry Bailey, and I have not been able to get him on yet because of obviously schedules and he's dealing with some other stuff. And then we saw a situation with Chris Clay. Again, I have not been able to get him on simply because, again, schedules. I do have a full-time job, and for those of you who don't remember, he actually won his court case. The Supreme Court of Texas pretty much told the lower courts, you need to reverse your ruling or we're going to do it for you. This is stupid. But anyway, this one, so there's different extremes when it comes to custody cases, and let me remind you guys, I am not the media, I am not a legal professional, counselor, any sort of thing. I keep reiterating that for legal purposes, and it's just so there isn't any confusion whatsoever. I'm not claiming to be an expert in any of these things. I am simply an observer, someone who's starting to take a more active stance, a very small voice, if you will. But at the same time, I'm also married, and because of what's going on, I don't want kids. I've talked about it. I have written an article or two about it, how I will literally snap off um, on someone if someone started messing with my kids in the way that a lot of these other kids have been messed with. So this case, I'll read the story. I won't quite say the name yet. As I said, I don't have any court docs. Um, but actually, you know what? I'm going to show the judge and all that. So anyway, so I wanted to go over because this one is what I would call a flip switch or the other extreme. So a lot of when it comes to the custody cases, as we've seen with trans children, we've seen a lot of psycho moms try to turn their little boys into girls. Well, this is a flip switch because we have a father trying to turn his daughter into a boy or transition. However, there's an extra variable to this case. She's 16. She is 16 years old, and that is a variable I'm not familiar with. From what I understand of this specific case, the dad got her to write like a letter, affidavit of some sort to the court saying that she wants to stay with her dad. I'm trying to find the email here. Okay, so I have to be kind of careful because there's some speculation in this story, but again, without proof, it can turn into defamation. Let me address the chat real quick here. Oh, shut up, Falcon. Anyway, though, so it has to also do with the religion of Mormonism and the Latter-day Saints. For those of you who have not seen anything in the news about those guys, they're a church organization out of Arizona, and they're actually going through a culture revolution right now. Well, I wouldn't call it a revolution, I call it a regression. The trans cult and LGBT have slowly begun to creep their way into that church and its foundation and its teachings. We've seen a lot of church turn apostate, and if you don't know what that means, pretty much just kind of turn away from God. We've seen a lot of churches get rid of their pastors because their pastors will actually preach out of the Bible in regards to what is actually marriage between a man and a woman. So we have seen a lot of that, and it's been happening for the past few years. If not, I want to say the last 5 to 6, possibly even later than that. So, or excuse me, longer. Um, so if you guys don't know anything about Mormonism, oh, sorry, someone texted me. For those of you who don't know anything about Mormonism, they have a very poor outlook when it comes to women. For example, according to their beliefs, only the husbands can get their wives into heaven, which is utter and total bullshit. And then you have another teaching to where when the wives do get into heaven, all they're gonna do is get pregnant and give birth to children, which is really messed up. And it's been a while. I know they go into a temple, get a special seal on the head. They're very cultish. I know I used to have some try to knock on my door, which, by the way, thank God they stopped, because at 9 o'clock in the morning, yeah, they don't come here around here no more. For any of you who forget, my background, my faith background, I come from Pentecostal, which is different. Because you guys know about my analogy of marriage is like a sword, and both the hilt and the blade are strong, but they're strong in different ways. One is not less than the other. One is not insignificant versus the other. They're both important. They both need to be taken care of and well attended to. So anyway, let me get on with the email. No, I'm not going to show it on screen. But let me start, and then we're going to go over the players, because this is very, very similar to the St. James case, except for it's the dad trying to turn his daughter into a son. Let's see. Let's see. So the daughter's name is Chloe. She's born in 2004, 5 weeks premature, 7 pounds 4 ounces. She was a difficult child, also called spirited by the temperament people. Totally dad's favorite. So father's daughter, it sounds like. Left-handed, started to use the computer at 2. She was horribly disorganized, could never find her shoes, her library books, homework, etc. Chronic bedwetter, was sick a lot with crop, not overly affectionate, very standoffish, difficulty making and keeping friends. She started developing early, so she had early puberty at 8, which included her lady cycle very early, which yikes, really sucks. I had taken her to counseling with Doctors Sean McDivitt and Sheila Hawley. I took her to a psych nurse practitioner for meds. I finally stopped taking her because she refused to talk in counseling or the psych NP. Her dad always put her to bed and laid with her until she fell asleep. Now I have to be really careful here, because again, if you accuse someone of something very disgusting and you don't have proof, it turns into defamation and slander. So I cannot say he did anything to her, but his relapse started when she was 4. So the relapse was with alcohol. He was 11 years sober, and then he had a relapse and 16 years, and from what I understand, he's now been 7 months sober. So something happened that caused him to relapse and turn into an alcoholic for 16 years. That's pretty major and pretty significant. But from what the sounds of it, it never really got dug into why an alcoholic who was sober for 11 years had a switch like that and stayed on it for 16 years. He did scream at me in front of all the kids. He yelled at the kids too. The 2 years I had her after Chris left, she would go to my room, destroy my things while I was at work. Take Sensi cubes and carve them out with a pencil, break eggs in the bathtub, ruin my makeup. She wanted a cat. I got her a cat. When the kids were switching back and forth, he had his girlfriend stay over at his apartment on the weekends. So there is 2 other daughters involved, too, but they're like grown up and out of the house. They're okay with what's going on, unfortunately, and it sounds like they very much have been indoctrinated too. Not a surprise. At age 11, Chloe came to me and told me that she didn't know if she was a boy or girl. So something happened and not entirely sure what caused Chloe to come forward. She wanted to be called they, them at this point. The only place she would go or would have seen this type of information was on the internet or school. She wanted to be called Mason, so we called her Mason, which was a major screw-up, naive mistake. Months, maybe a year later, she decided she was a boy and adopted the name Carter. We have referred to her as Carter for the last 3 years, at least. Again, another innocent mistake, but a very grave one. She dresses like a boy, wants a deeper voice and facial hair to be on the outside who she is on the inside. Last year, she legally changed her name to Carter Andrew Brock. I had to agree, and I did because it wasn't testosterone. For at least the last year, maybe longer, she decided she wanted testosterone injections. She asked to see a specific counselor, we'll get into that, who was transgender herself, Mischa Cohen Peck, which his real name is Michael Cohen Peck. After meeting with Mischa for several months, she was referred to the Gender Center at Phoenix Children's Hospital. There she met with Dr. Giuliani on 3 separate occasions. He recommended moving toward this, testosterone injections. Of course she did. I simply cannot. For the last year, Chloe has refused to stay at my home. Her father never made her fulfill joint custody orders, which, by the way, the mom had joint custody, 50-50. But because the daughter wanted to stay with the dad, and this is a big problem, the dad never enforced the 50-50, so she stayed with her father for a full year. Now, the mom doesn't have really any custody over the daughter. Granted, this is a 16-year-old. Again, it's a variable I'm not familiar with, and I don't know how the laws even work around that. Where did I leave off of? So he's been in contempt of court for over a year. He also never reimbursed me for any of the kids' medical expenses in 4 years since the original order. In December, I got the court documents for Chris to have full custody and legal decision making. So, for those of you who don't remember, there's custody and then there's conservatorship. Conservatorship is, say, over the child, medical, event-wise, and whatnot. So, out of the blue, she got court documents for this stuff, and it's not specified whether or not she got documentation for there to be a hearing. I'm gonna doubt it, but you'll see why. It is unbelievable to me that a judge would do this and give a 7-month sober alcoholic final say. It has been proven that he would do anything to keep this child happy, which spoil, not deal with the issue, which something. I'm not accusing, let me specify, I'm not accusing the father of anything, but something pretty major happened for an alcoholic to go from 11 years sober to 16 years drunk. So, give me one sec. Is that you, love? No, sorry, I thought there was something in the kitchen, my hubby's home. But anyway, so that is the email. I think there is a little bit more here. Let me look. Because I think there's a bit more information that was given to me in text message. Oh, good grief. Where is it at? Hold on, guys. I'm not ignoring you in the chat. There's just a lot to go over. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, here we go. I think. Nope. Oh, this is the same stuff. Yeah. So this is okay. Nope. This is the same stuff that I got sent to via email. So yeah, that is just a little bit of what is going on. Let's see, honestly, I think it should be legal for kids to transition. I think they have to be old enough to make these decisions for themselves. Yeah, I do agree, and, you know, I posted something on the Save James page, because I'm one of the admins. And I'm gonna state it here, and I'll reiterate it at the end of this. There is no more sitting in the middle with this crap. I don't care whether people get offended or not. There are sides to this. You're either for the medical abuse of children, or you're not, because this is what this is. Let me show you the people involved, because I was given names earlier today. And let me flip over to the TV. Okay, so this is the social worker / counselor, Dr. Mischa Cohen Peck or Dr. Michael Cohen Peck. Yes, this is male to female activist. So this is a trans activist working as a social worker and counselor. Yay. Currently, let me just read you because these are also in the description as well. Currently, Dr. Peck is a leader in trans and gender expansive communities. So, this person is helping to expand the trans ideology in their area. They're doing so through counseling and working with children, brainwashing them. Isn't that lovely? He is a member, I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. He is a member of the World Professional Association for Transgender Health and has served on the board of Trans Spectrum of Arizona. Full-blown trans activist. He owns and operates Q Counseling and specializes in work with sexual and gender minority persons across the lifespan. He is a EMDR therapist and served on the board of the EMDR International Association. I'm not sure what EMDR is, so let me give that a look real quick. Eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing. What is that? Psychotherapy that enables people to heal from the symptoms and emotional stress that are the result of disturbing life experiences. Disturbing life experiences. We'll come back to that here in a second. Arizona trauma recovery. Why would Chloe need to see a trauma counselor? Interesting. During his academic career, he received multiple research and training grants, taught undergraduate and graduate courses, lovely, and published numerous scholarly articles. As summer faculty at Smith College School for Social Work, Dr. Peck teaches graduate-level courses about clinical practice and public policy, with emphasis on gender-diverse individuals and communities. Holy crap. Always with a strong sense of social justice. Good lord. His history includes grassroots activism, ACT UP, Queer Nation, and a long history of volunteer service, board membership, civic activity. During his spare time, he is a gourmet cook, metalsmith, and jewelry maker, collector of art, writer, storyteller, curator of culture and life. Yeah, so this is all why. Okay, now we're going to look into that because Arizona Trauma Recovery Network. Why would Chloe need to see a trauma counselor? Maintain a network of EMDR interventions as part of the frontline trauma response and recovery throughout the state of Arizona. Cost-effective, non-invasive, evidence-based method of psychotherapy that facilitates adaptive information processing developed by Francine Shapiro, PhD, in the late 1980s. EMDR is an eat-phase treatment which comprehensively identifies and addresses experiences that have overwhelmed the brain's natural resilience or coping capacity. That is interesting, and have thereby generated traumatic symptoms and or harmful coping. This strategies, though, through EMDR therapy, patients are able to process or reprocess traumatic information until it is no longer psychologically disruptive. So what? As a disaster, survivors, loved ones, or first responders are at risk for distress. So it's interesting that Chloe has to see, now granted it's a trans counselor, but it's still a trauma counselor nonetheless. So, as we have read in the email, that something flipped the dad's switch. Something really freaking bad that caused him to go into drinking for 16 years. I have no physical proof, so I'm not even gonna say it. We don't know what happened, but something definitely happened, and the fact that, again, Chloe is seeing a trauma counselor, it just, yeah. Let me touch base with the chat real quick. Get over there. Let's see. Ooh. Roughneck MP, anytime you mix transgender issues and religion, you're bound to have a righteous mess. Oh yeah. It is religion trying to become progressive, which honestly I've seen some people on Twitter claim to be progressive Christians, which is an utter joke because their claim is, oh well, Jesus didn't talk about or didn't preach against same-sex marriage or any of that. It's like, you're ignoring Matthew 19 verses 4 through 6. Go read. Anyway, I'm so done with this crap, and I have read many stories. I've heard various things. You actually want to know how bad this is in regards to the fight against CPS and this crap as a whole. So, if I can say his last name properly, Mark Alucci was a prominent lawyer in California. Dude was shot dead in his yard. He was about ready to take on California CPS and win. He had just won a major victory for male victims of domestic violence, for them to get federal aid just like female victims of domestic violence do in the state of California. So that should tell you something. There's been a lot of dark stories when it comes to CPS, whether they're activists, whether they're trafficking children. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. So this is and I've stated this before, an attack of the nuclear family, and it's on various fronts, whether that is crippling the rights of mothers, the rights of fathers, going in and brainwashing the children or snatching the children for money. I have a friend, for those of you who aren't familiar, her name is Admiral Reblin. She's trying to run the gaming company Pug, and I'm not going to tell like the details of her business, but she, I know, fought CPS in her state, and because of liars, her kids were wrongfully snatched from her for a while. She has them back, thank God, and they're recuperating and they're doing well. But that's just another example. It's about money. All of this is about money. Who has the most money and who can suck the most money from who. Let me touch base with the chat. I remember watching a video put out by Vice about a trans person I ran. There were a bunch of religious overtones. Russia Bunny, I am gay, so respect your religious beliefs. A lawyer winning the court over men's rights issues, no wonder he got iced. Yeah, no, exactly. He was also fighting against CPS, and I believe, I can't remember if this was in the state of Texas, it was a female Republican judge that went against CPS in a different state and slapped him with a huge fine because of their handlings of several cases. There's another custody case, and I haven't touched base with a while because I kind of fell out of loop, Justice for Carr's Kids, or Justice for James. For those of you who don't remember the details of that one, again, this is another front. That is a pedophile. He had several gigabytes of CP on his drive. There is evidence, even though he never got convicted, that he sexually abused his children. His little boy is dead because of it. Hey, sweetie. Oh, you're fine. He's telling me not to acknowledge him. But let's see. Anyway, it was a big thing because a lot of men are treated horribly when they come out as survivors or domestic abuse victims, and that they're either brushed off, they're told that they're always going to be the predators, that there's no such thing as abuse or violence against them, which is utter and total bull. Anyway, let me show you the other player. So this is another counselor that's involved. You'll get a kick out of this one. Her name is Beth and Bloomfield-Fox, licensed professional counselor, MBA, LPC. The link in the description for her is also here. You okay? Alright, it's really hot today, so it's kind of hard to move around. We got hit with a heat wave. Horrible stuff. Anyway, so let me read because we got a kink counselor. I'm not kidding. Reaching out for assistance can sometimes be the most difficult part of seeking counseling. I'm glad you are here. I believe that my clients are the are the experts on their lives and experiences, and I'm here to provide guidance and direction. With the assistance of my therapy dog, Rose is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel who is always happy to help provide comfort if requested. Requested. So here it is. I have experience with LGBTQ, kink, and poly relationships. Yeah, we're dealing with a bunch of freaking crazies. And understand the difficulties in finding healthcare professionals who not only understand but support and affirm these communities. So yeah, she supports polygamy. And also kinks, which I've never heard of a counselor putting that on their online resume or description. This is the first time, and I'm like, what in the hell? I am well versed on the HAES approach to wellness, which, let me look that up again. I'm not a counselor, so I'm not familiar with some of this stuff. I will touch on that here in a bit. And practice body positivity. Oh my shit. If that's the body positivity I'm thinking it is, then oh yeah. In addition, I'm also experienced in working with the aviation industry. That's interesting that you put that on there. For those of you who don't know what aviation is, it has to do with airplanes. There's actually, I believe, Falcon is still in the chat. Flying Falcon, he's an aviator himself. He could explain more about that much better than I can by far. My experience assisting aviation professionals has helped shape my unique treatment strategies that are sensitive to the stringent requirements within the industry. Please contact me if you feel like I may be a good fit to assist you in working toward a stronger mind with more balanced emotions. I look forward to hearing from you. So, cost per session, yeah. So this is a kink counselor. Her description, not mine. Also deals with polygamy relationships, which, by the way, never work because, and here's the thing, because I've seen the claim, oh, well, they do work, you just have to have communication. No, they don't work. Jealousy, other stuff gets involved, they never work out. They're not healthy, I don't give a shit. It's husband and wife relationship, and there's a reason why. You can get mad at me all you want, you know, I really don't. You know, as I said before on my channel, the more that I look into this stuff, the more that I'm exposed to this stuff, the more angry I get, because it's a bunch of people that got indoctrinated, brainwashed, led astray, or preyed upon because their vulnerabilities would be trauma, some sort of mental, I don't want to say deficiency, but more like mental restriction or social restriction, or situation. So let me touch base with the chat. But yeah, we're dealing with a rather crazy group. I've seen a lot of women attacking service members when I was in the military. As military police, it's our job to protect our own. Usually the spouse was brought up on charges and kicked off post. Russia Bunny, so I did hear that correctly. I've never heard of a kink counselor before. Yes, and the link to this is in the description below. So you can read that. And then we're going to touch upon the judge. I don't want to do this for too long, the stream, but I just thought it'd be a little bit better to do this than a video. Oh, let me touch upon that Haas that it had. Health at every... It is that body positivity movement. Health at every size, which is not realistic. This is also a body positivity counselor. Meaning you could be healthy at any size, which is total and utter bullshit, and is not scientifically backed, mind you. So, yeah, this is another way to destroy people or encourage unhealthy behaviors. The next we're going to look at the judge for this particular case, Judge Rodrick Coffey. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, this is a conservative judge, but he's a conservative judge by Mormon standards, not by normal conservative standards, but by Mormon. And we already talked about the Mormons. They don't have a very good view of women at all. You can actually use the term misogynistic with this particular. I don't even want to call it a branch of Christianity. I really freaking don't. They're off in their own world. I'm not trying to be offensive to anyone who may be Mormon and is watching, but you can't. Yeah, no. And then if someone brings up the argument, oh well, Christianity is the same way. No, it's not. No, it's not. I've gone over quite a few things with that. No. Okay, so we're gonna look at the reviews. Judge Coffey is the worst judge, hands down incompetent and completely biased. So this is a judge who is Mormon, conservative by Mormon standards, which is not really a good thing, and will automatically have bias against mom, regardless of facts. So that's how it's sounding like. I did not get my due process, being that it was a telephonic hearing because of COVID. I did not get to completely plead my case and submit all of my exhibits to evidence showing the judge how unfit the father is. My witnesses who have watched the father be verbally and emotionally abusive didn't even get to talk. The judge took what the father said as word without showing evidence. So, yeah, no, that is extreme bias. The father lied and said I withheld his son from him, which is the furthest from the truth. The father lied about his income and said it was lower than what he reported at the beginning of the process when he filed again. Judge Coffey ordered the AF for the beginning of the process when he filed again. Judge Coffey ordered, what is that for? There we go. Thin info, and the father didn't turn it in. How could he just look over that? Ironically, after the hearing, I get a notice that I have to pay the court fees when I was told I didn't have to. The father reopened under the original case file to prove paternity and messed it up, which I don't understand. I had to be changed back to being the petitioner, so the cost falls on me. He makes 3 times more in income than I do. How is he not responsible for the case that he reopened? My witnesses, which included my ex-husband, who I have a great co-parenting friendship with, all said that I got robbed by Judge Coffey. Now that my son would be at risk for being harmed by his father because his father cannot handle him, and will get frustrated with my son and abuse him. Then if my son gets seriously harmed or even killed, which actually did, by the way, happen with Justice for Kara's kids, or hashtag Justice for James, yeah, that case, because there is bias against Kara, and this is actually in Illinois, and I believe its county is Keynes, if I remember correctly. So yeah, let's see. I feel sorry for anyone who has a judge because proper hearings will not occur, and Judge Coffey just passes things off so he can collect his paycheck. There is no fair hearing with him. What a fraud! Ask for a judge reassignment. Here's another. Golly. This guy is a highly paid pawn of the court to ignore all child safety and child abuse and minimize all family court drama to the punishment of the complaining party. He is paid to sweep child abuse under the carpet so he does not have to cost the state of Arizona any money. Governor Ducey appointed this moronic loser. He is a despicable, disturbing, misogynistic troll that certainly should not be in charge of any child's welfare. He is a complete pathetic joke, and you better hope that you are Mormon and a member of his cult, which we'll talk about the Church of Latter-day Saints, but yeah, more as I said. He is conservative by Mormon standards, which puts the man's word above the woman's, and we've already gone over some of the things that how they view women. Not good. If you're a woman, or you will be treated like a second-rate citizen, which is really all that can be expected in this old boys club full of disgusting and repulsive men that agree to actually cover up the abuse of women and children to their own financial benefit. If you're a woman, strike this judge immediately and file a discrimination complaint, because if you don't, we will all be continuously mistreated in abusive Arizona, which is the second worst state for child abuse in the United States. This guy needs to be taken off the bench. Strike him, strike him, strike him the second you read this, or I promise you that you will regret your failure to strike him for the rest of your damned life. and your kid will probably die or be permanently messed up from severe incompetence. You will never get another chance to get rid of this douche, and he will never let you back in court once you hate his ruling. File a complaint and appeal on all of the rulings. If you're a woman, we can no longer stand for this treatment. It's time for women to riot. Don't riot. I can see what you're saying, but don't riot. With idiots like this in charge, can someone please change my rating from 1 star to 0 stars? Because this pathetic worm does not even deserve that 1 star. Give him... Damn. Ooh, for the amount of money he has wasted, not to mention my life that is ruined, that I will never get back. My kids will be mentally screwed up forever, so I will not be dealing with a derogatorily irresponsible, callous, woman-hating, evil troll. This was July 1st, so these are recent. Which, by the way, and I don't want to get into too much of information, but the mom that has to deal with these clowns does have to file for bankruptcy because, yeah, and in this case, too, the father does make, way more money, than the mom, and she's the one that has to pay for stuff. So there's no doubt that she does have to pay for the testosterone. She told me that the daughter is on her insurance, and she's being made to pay for this stuff. The dad's not, even though he has sole conservatorship and sole custody. So yeah, they have financially crippled the mom, which her name is Nancy. I don't know if there's been a gag order put in place. She didn't mention anything about it. But yeah, this is the state of our country. I've touched upon other cases before. I've talked about how they've been trying to go after our children. You have CPS. You have these freaking wackadoo counselors. I mean, for those of you who remember Save James and my various notes, because I was taking notes throughout the entire period when I was down in Texas, you literally had psychologists and expert witnesses on the stand bullshitting how it's okay for children to transition. Children need to take the lead, even though we don't allow them to decide whether or not they should drive until at least the age of 16, and even then they have restrictions. They can't smoke till they're now 21. They can't do a whole lot of stuff until they're 18. Why in the actual... I know why. I don't need to ask it. But let me read, because there is a lot, and there's 2 more that's from this year. Let's see. My nephew is failing since they have been living with their father full time. They have asked for their own attorney and therapist. Both have been denied. What? One of my nephews has always been a straight student in first in his class. The judge will not even consider a custody change. That's a little too vague. Judge Coffey is not honorable in any way. I did everything he asked, passed a stupid drug test that wasn't necessary. He even told my attorney that he was reversing his decision, and then went and denied everything, took my kids from me, said I wouldn't promote a relationship with the other parent, and still took them. No evidence, no reason. Judge Coffey is the worst. This is from last year, so these reviews are kind of a year apart. He's a terrible judge, no justice here. We have a case pending on a grandparent seeking custody of our grandchildren. DCS allowed the children to go with their mother, who in the last 10 years have only visited the children 17 days a year and willingly gave up custody. We have a daily part of their lives for the past 14 years, not only to be cut out of their lives, and their trial dates to be continued twice now. This starts back in July 2018. A new trial date is in June 2019. We have not had any communication or visits with our grandchildren since later part of 2018. It seems that this judge does not take what is in the best interest of the children into account and ignores grandparents. Mesa, Arizona residents, be careful of this judge. He's not working to protect families or children. Now, something I want to touch upon, because there are some people, because I've heard this argument, especially after the Save James case blowing up. Some people want to get rid of the variable, that's the best way I can call it, is the best interest of the children, because I know that was argued a lot during the Save James case. best interest of the children is something that they use to erode parent rights. With St. James and Georgeless tried to argue that it was in the best interest of James that he be allowed to social transition and continue counseling with these freaking quack doctors, which, by the way, he didn't want to. So that, I don't know if the best interest of the child, the way that it's handled or presented, is varied state by state. In the case of St. James, it was used as a weapon against Jeff. So a lot of parents are trying to do away with that factor, and make sure it's not used to erode parental rights. I believe that also was used or attempted to be used in the custody case of Chris Clay, or hashtag let her stay. Of course, the opposing lawyer lied through her teeth. So that one, it's a mixed bag. I've heard a lot of parents want to do away with that factor of it being able to be used in court. Another thing too, because you always follow the money, what they are trying to do is put a cap on how much lawyers can make in custody battles. For those of you who are not aware, the reason why custody cases are allowed to go on for so long is because the lawyers can make an unlimited amount of money on it. Take, for example, we're going to use Ange Georgelis again. She has 2 law firms working for her, very expensive ones. She has the most expensive appeal attorney in the state of Texas. And then she has, I believe, Coonsville, I can't remember, Jessica Jansix and Laura Hayes' name of their actual firm, but they're very, very pricey, and they try to get Jeff to pay for everything, which the judge, Mary Brown, told them no, Anne has to pay for her own stuff. Enough. But however, here's the thing. During the hearing of, I believe it was 2 to 3 months back, this was a Zoom call, Jancic pretty much threatened the judge, if you don't grant the counseling, we're pretty much going to keep I can't even say that word, litigation. So pretty much kind of she's sucking more money. And in this case, it's from Anne. It was mentioned during the hearing of that one that Anne originally had 4 houses and it was down to 3. Boo-hoo, cry me a river. But my point is, when bringing that up, is it's money. It is my belief now with that particular case that it's Anne's lawyers egging a mentally unstable woman on for her money. There is no cap as to how much lawyers can make, period. Now, a lot of parents are fighting for that too, and I believe there's also some government people involved trying to put on a cap, because the speculation belief is if there is a cap as to how much a lawyer can make, then a lot of cases will get resolved much quicker or not reopened, or I don't know how true that is. I could see lawyers raising their rates if such a thing were put on. It'd be helpful. But that's also the state too, is there's usually a lot of money involved. It's a very dark and nasty, it's turned into pretty much a market at this point. Whether they're snatching kids from perfectly good homes, because the more, for those of you who do not know this, the more the kids are in the foster system, the more money the state gets. I came across something else too, is that when it comes to, and I don't know where the article is, when it comes to custody support, and I believe this was out of the state of Texas, is when a parent has to pay custody support, child support, that they don't pay that directly to the parent. They pay that to the court, and then the court transfers some of that money to the parent that it's owed to. And the rest of that money goes towards the judge's, towards the judge's retirement. Look into this stuff. This is like staring down a big invisible monster. Again, I'm not a legal expert. I'm not any of these things. I'm just a wife. Was a full-time job. I do YouTube as a hobby, if even that. No, Mitten, stop. I have a fluffy cat trying to get in my cords. I don't know why you're being naughty. Go. Anyway, though, I have gotten more vocal about this because it's important, and the reason why I want more and more people to see is because not only do we have families fighting to keep their children, fighting to be able to teach their children properly without indoctrination. I'll give you another example. There is something because as we've seen with Black Lives Matter. Okay, I said no. Stop it. They're now adopting the, what is the teaching plan, 1618 into schools, which teaches white students how they are oppressors, how they're systematically racist, and they're trying to do away with quote-unquote whiteness. So they've already indoctrinated our children. There's a Facebook post floating around of someone's classroom that has Republican and Democratic labels, and then under Republican you have the swastika. So, and for those of you who've been following the BLM stuff, and actually looked on their website, because I've touched upon this too on my channel and gotten into arguments with people about it, they have adopted the entire trans community, and part of their mission is to protect Black trans lives, which they're not in any danger. So people are like, well, you're being transphobic. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. They want to do also away with the nuclear family. This is socialism being brought in, and tie themselves to the trans community. With a socialistic government, there is no individual. It may sound like conspiracy theory, but no, this is all tied in together. This is all meshed in, and it's being done on purpose. The family court is being used to dismantle the nuclear family and its values. For those of you who have done any reading on the Marxist or Marxist Manifesto, one of his goals was to do away with the nuclear family, break it down. There was an adoption of the LGBT simply because it was helped to destroy the nuclear family and the traditional values. That's the only reason. Let me touch base with the chat because I know I'm going off in every which way. Didn't the Mormons get into a bit of trouble by baptizing people by proxy, especially those who survived the Holocaust? I don't know anything about that. Say they shouldn't take away the child rights for the child best interest. Why is even the child transition even a thing? What is this? I can't process that. Because Russia Bunny, like I said, they're preying on our children. It is full-on indoctrination. It is sterilization. It is population control. It is freaking eugenics. Because if you look at the families, who they target, if you look at the people involved, you'll notice anyone who came out as trans has some sort of mental trauma or social issue. So anyone, because like I'm a trauma victim myself, and I've talked about on my channel how I struggled with some of the stuff. Thank God my parents were not stupid. I even have a poem that I did a year before I even started to go over the Save James stuff. I could have been, because, and I've talked about it, how I'm a survivor. I wanted to be a guy for a while because I didn't want to be seen as weak. I didn't want to be seen as one of those people who were violated in such a way. I mean, this stuff really freaking messes you up. They prey upon survivors. They prey upon people with autism, people with Down syndrome. Why do you think everyone who comes out as trans, and you can look at people, you can literally break them down, and I'm not saying being disrespectful, you can break them down, and you will find either a mental issue or you will find trauma. Every single time when someone comes out as trans, there is one of the two, if not both, in the mix. We've talked to Turn Anime on here. Sexual abuse victim. What was it? There's a Twitter user. I don't know their story, male to female. And this is part of the trans ideology. They're called Lovely Lilith on Twitter, and they're squawking, they're pretty much parodying this trans cult crap, how one's sexuality doesn't have to do with their womanhood or manhood. So this is part of the trans cult. They want to break down the sexes, blur the lines, so there isn't any way to differentiate. That's why you see claims like trans women are women, which they're not, or trans men are men, they're not. And then you have another group, which it's called AFAB, assigned female at birth, and I'm sure there's a group out there called AMAB, assigned male at birth. You can't be assigned something at birth. They go by your biological aspects. So it's freaking crazy. Oh, something else I didn't touch upon. Stop it, Mitten. Is the Latter-day Saints. Because like I said, this has to do with a religious branch who is very cultish, mind you. And as we've seen more and more churches with Catholics, Christians, Protestants, we've seen LGBT creep into all kinds of churches and just completely dismantle it. You now have, and I forgot what her name is, she is a Catholic priest, mind you, and argues for quote-unquote ethnical porn. There is no such thing. This is how bad it's gotten. You now have people who are either trans or who are LGBT in places of leadership like pastors or associate pastors. I'm sorry. That is not, your church is apostate. You have just crippled your entire church. There's a such thing as struggling versus just blatantly living in sin. They've completely dismantled the church at this point. Let me... okay, so this article... where is the date on this article? Let me see if this is pulled up on screen. Okay, let me touch base with the chat real quick. My favorite thing to say is everybody lives matter tends to shut them up. I like everybody's lives matter because everyone matters. No one is above or below anyone. Every life of every gender and every race is equal. And every species too. I do not know what people identify nowadays. Morons. Oh crap, what GoFundMe is running? I think that's Save James. I do apologize. I have not. Please. Give me one sec here. Living at risk. I'm not sure what that is, but we're gonna shut that off because I'm not sure what in the world they're doing there. Anyway, sorry to shut something off on my chat bot. But so, stances of faith on LGBTQ issues. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Mormons who are out of Arizona. Human Rights Campaign, HRC. The Church of Latter-day Saints, informally known as the Mormon Church, is the fourth largest denomination in the United States with a global membership of more than 16 million. Adherence to Christian doctrine is expanded to encompass the teachings of the Book of Mormon and other teachings originated with Joseph Smith, which, by the way, the Mormons did add a second Bible. Pentecostals do not have a second Bible. This is just a freaking Mormon thing that they threw on due to one of their earlier pastors or leaders. I don't quite remember. It's been a while since I've read up on the guy who has established the church in 1830 in New York State. The church has a paradigmal structure. Ultimate authority lies with the first presidency and comprises a president who is the most commonly referred to as the prophet and his two counselors. The second highest governing body, the quorum of the 12 apostles, is appointed by the president, with each prophet succeeded by the most senior apostle at his death. Beneath them are the quorums of 70, which are considered general authorities and can teach and proclaim anywhere in the world. So far that sounds like they're trying to mimic the Holy Trinity, and then with the 12 disciples of Christ. I'm not entirely sure about the 70, but apparently only 70 people can go out to the world and preach. The church is divided into 22 regions across the world. Those regions are further divided into states, each consisting of 5 to 12 wards, usually a single church or parish led by a bishop. LGBTQ equality on sexual orientation and gender identity. The LDS Church follows strict rules of sexual conduct, including commandments against premarital sex. The Church distinguishes between same-sex attraction and behavior. As stated on its website, the experience of same-sex attraction is a complex reality for many people. The attraction itself is not a sin, but acting on it is. Both. The LDS Church previously taught that same-sex attraction is a curable condition, but now states that individuals do not choose to have such attractions, and that therapy focusing on change in sexual orientation is unethical. Let me touch upon that one momento. So, the way that it used to be done, which is actually referred to as conversion therapy or shock therapy, was barbaric. I never got into the deep-rooted issues because, and I'm not trying to offend people here, but homosexuality is pretty much confusion. And then if you go trans, that is confusion on a just roller coaster on steroids. No, you cannot cure same-sex attraction. There is no cure for same-sex attraction. That usually comes about some confusion, whatever happened to the person, that is whatever that person experienced, whether they were brainwashed into it, whether it be trauma, confusion set in. There's all kinds of variables that can come into play. There's people who have come from traditional relationships, didn't want anything more to do with the opposite sex and have gone gay. Actually, no, do that it happened to. There was people who were indoctrinated. There was people who had trauma happen to them, and so they wanted to be seen, I guess, if that makes sense, as the opposite sex. Didn't want to be seen as the weaker one, which I can relate to. There's all kinds of things. That the person, number one, has to be willing to dive into the deep-rooted issues, walk that path, but that's up to the person. That's between God and the individual. No, people can't cure it with shock therapy. They can't brainwash anyone to be straight. That is a load of bull. Reparative therapy is one that goes into the issues as to why same-sex attraction came about. That is the difference. Those who do not act on their sexual identity enjoy full fellowship in the church. So pretty much what this is saying is, oh, well, you have these feelings, but as long as you don't act on them, you're okay. But we're not going to deal with them. We're not going to deep dive into why you have them to begin with. We're not going to help you walk through them, walk through that struggle. You just can enjoy the fellowship as long as you don't do anything with them, which is not healthy, which includes holding the priesthood, carrying out callings, and attending the temple. The church considers Mormons who act on feelings of same-sex attraction to have disobeyed church teachings on morality, which, by the way, they have more of an emphasis on church teachings than they actually do God's teachings. So they're kind of like the Catholics. And thus are subject to ecclesiastical discipline. They may be, 1, placed on probation for those desiring to change their behavior. 2, disfellowshipped, excluding from participating in the sacraments for a finite period of time where they correct their behavior. Or 3, excommunicated. Members who face a disciplinary council and refuse to repent or insist that their teachings are integral to who they are always excommunicated. They lose their membership and cannot participate in any way other than attend meetings. They also lose the eternal ties that bind them to their families and their church. Okay, so because that's something similar to what the Mennonites do, is if you go against the teachings of the church, you will be outcast by your family. So, and the church decides this for you. Your family does not decide this, the church does. So that, in a sense, is really messed up. Now, when it refers to the ecclesiastical discipline, it talks about going, in Ecclesiastes, it talks about going before the elders of the church and discussing the issue. If the individual doesn't receive the rebuke and change, then they get thrown out of the church. I can't touch upon that too much, well, actually at all, because all the churches that I've been to, I've never personally seen it done. I've heard about it being done, but I don't have any experience with it, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I do know of one of the churches I did go to at the time. It was like New Life Church, and I was very, very, very young when this happened. Pastor Ted Haggard, or ex-pastor, shall we say, he was exposed for having a 3-year affair with another guy, cheated on his wife. He was the head pastor of New Life. New Life Church is freaking ginormous. So it's over like 1,000 people, dude. But anyway, he was excommunicated. His family was completely tarnished. And I don't know who's the new pastor now. I haven't been to that church in like years. Again, this happened when I was very small. But that's just an example. He was thrown from his position. I'm not sure what happened to his family, but that is one example that I know of for a legit reason. Now being excommunicated from your family is messed up. The church has no say over that. They shouldn't have a say. Mennonites act the same way. Part of my family or extended family is Mennonite. One of my aunts, when she began to question the teachings of the church, Mennonite church, she got excommunicated by her family for a while until she came back into the fold. I'm not kidding. That is cultish behavior. Give me one sec, because there's some stuff I was dealing with on the side. Yeah. Nope. But yeah, so let's continue reading, because it's a messed up group. It really is a freaking messed up group. The LDS Church has no official policy regarding transgender individuals. Same-sex marriage are not allowed in the LDS Church, and sexual activity is grounds for being denied access to the temple or ordination and other aspects of church membership. The church has a history of campaigning against marriage equality since the 1990s, and the issue has become one of the church's foremost political concerns. In 2015, in November, the LDS Church took formal steps to define marriage equality as a form of apostasy, as in the Handbook of Instructions. I don't know what the Handbook of Instructions is, but again, Matthew 19:4-6, this is Jesus saying what marriage is when the Pharisees came and asked him about the law of Moses concerning divorce. Pretty much stated, Moses gave you that law because you guys were not obedient. When a man is grown up, he will leave his mother and father to be united with his wife as one flesh, between husband and wife, man and woman. What God has joined together, let man not separate. So again, it is in there, New Testament. Jesus does address it and define perfectly what marriage is. So I don't know what the Book of Instructions is. I really don't. Guide for Mormon leaders. The policy not only describes Mormons and same-sex couples as apostates of the faith, it establishes disciplinary actions that Mormon leaders can take against same-sex couples, which that, in a sense, worries me, consider how cultish Mormon people are. Let's see, can take against same-sex couples, including excommunication. The new policy also took aim at the children of same-sex couples. It barred them from baptism and from joining LDS Church, so they punished the children for their same-sex parents' decisions. How about that? Unless they denounce the parents by the age of 18. Holy crap. This policy commonly referred to as the November policy, which, by the way, the LDS did change their stance on that, so they're now saying that children of same-sex parents can be baptized. So they're pretty much punishing the children, or were, for the sins of the father. By June 2018, the LDS Church quietly cemented the November policy by reaffirming its opposition. April 2018, a stunning announcement by the LDS Church reversed the controversial 2015 policy. But President Oaks made it clear the church was not revising its doctrine on homosexuality. It's not the church doctrine, stupid. Oh my gosh, see, this is how they keep referring to the church teachings, anyway. But so they've been silently just kind of changed just a little bit. Let me see if I can find something recent. An official church website. This has nothing to do. Anti-LGBT policy. Oh, hey, look, here's something recent. Okay. Oh, let me console. I do apologize, guys. I'm not ignoring you. I was born gay, never had an attraction to the opposite sex. It just never happened to me. I tried before, but it just wasn't there. No, you cannot have my location. Thank you very much. I was always just attracted to women. Hey, Falcon, if you identify as an A10 Thunderbolt. Oh, well. Didn't Jimmy Swaggart also have a homosexual relationship and was tarnished? I don't remember. I don't know who Jimmy Swaggart is. I personally do not care what a person does with their life as long as they don't push it on others. It ain't like you have roving gangs of gays who break into people's houses to have sex. No, that is a good point. I just, yes, people have the free will to choose what they want to do with their life, but it's no longer, oh, hey, well, I don't care as long as you leave people alone. They're not leaving other people alone. That's the problem. It has gotten to such a point where you now have, there's actually a couple different groups now for the, I guess you call it trans umbrella, a queer umbrella. You have the LGBTQ, you have their original LGBT, and then you now have the original group, LGB, trying to cut off the T. So they're pretty much at war with each other because there are people of that group that just want to be done away with the trans cult and the other crap, and they want to go back to the original group. I am for none of the group, by the way, but again, I am for free will. But the fact that we have people now preying on children, they have solicited judges, psychiatrists, social workers, government officials. You can no longer leave this alone. You can no longer stand back and go, oh, well, as long as they let others alone, then I'm okay with whatever. It's not like that anymore. It really freaking isn't. They've been trying to prey on children for quite a while. They got the gender unicorn into the state of Washington schools. You have feminists who've been trying to dismantle, which, by the way, let me remind you, too, intersectionality or intersectional feminism was not around until, I want to say, 2015, 2016. If you guys were paying attention to that, feminism swaddled the LGBT, Black Lives Matter, and then you had more groups break apart. So you have intersectional feminism. You had TERFs break off, which is trans exclusionary radical feminists. And then you had a group of men trying to be women form another feminist group, who are now trying to include men into women's spaces. Morgan Ogre of Canada going after a rape relief center, getting them defunded. We've talked about that on my channel as well. And you have the rise of drag kids who now specifically, for the most part, target little boys and indoctrinate them. And you have pedophiles who have been outed in several of these drag queen groups, and they now have what's called drag queen story time. So this is kind of what we're up against. Let's see, heartbreaking. Let's see, I'd like to comment on Dave Winslow's recent opinion titled Ungodly Teachings About LGBTQ Drive People Away from the LDS Church. Ungodly. Like Mr. Winslow, I am north of 60 years. I am a lifelong temple recommended holding, returned missionary, active, involved member of the church, and committed to it by covenants I have made. Man, that is a mouthful. I have known about 30 to 40 members of formal members of our church who are sexual minorities. The church pays such a dear price for its policies and treatment of LGBTQ individuals. My heart breaks when I talk to these rejected members, spurned for being or acting gay, who I find to be filled with integrity and love for the gospel and the church. But here's the thing. You cannot walk with God. I'm not trying to get preachy, But you cannot walk with God and live a homosexual lifestyle. You cannot walk with God and advocate for the trans community or even the LGBTQ. Because if you did walk with God, you'd walk with all of his teachings, not just the ones you pick and choose. And before anybody comes at me about the Old Testament, the Old Covenant, saying, oh, well, Leviticus says this, or Deuteronomy says this, read in context, in order. I've talked about this multiple times. We're no longer in the Old Covenant. We're now under the New Covenant, and church marriage and all that has been defined in the New Testament by Christ, no less. So, because I've had people try to argue with me on that front, and I'm not being hateful. It has gotten to such a point now to where if I ever want to have kids, which I don't want to because of this bullshit, and I haven't been to church in years, mind you, because of their garbage. But if I ever wanted to have kids, I would have to take a more in-depth dive than I am already, just to know how to fight this, how to keep CPS away, how to keep other crazy people away, whether it be church, family, whatever. People now, if you don't understand this, let me tell you this. There are parents now who have families who are fighting against this. If you want families in the future, you have to know and be aware of what is going on. You have to know how to fight this. You have to make more people aware, because there have been families who've been caught off guard, like the mom Nancy, who have no idea even how to battle this. There's a lot of parents who, when they first started to combat this, whether it be with the trans cult, or activist judges, or people going after them for money, they had no idea that other people were struggling with this. I have come to know in several cases, thanks to Save Dreams, Save Miles. There's, I think, 5 now that I know off the top of my head. I'm a part of one or two pages where there are just dozens and dozens of stories by parents, whether they're dealing with the trans stuff, having to fight schools, by the way, who have also been indoctrinating children. There are stories I've heard where there's teachers now who will go out of their way behind the parents' back to get the child who has been indoctrinated freaking cross-sex hormones. This is a thing. The state of California Teachers Union is fighting for this, by the way. There's one teacher who came out and said, if I know a child whose parents do not accept their new gender identity, I help them find another place to live. I give them money. I help them get on hormones, if need be. There are teachers who now have turned activists who are now part of this crap. So this is no longer you could just stand by and leave this crap alone. I talked about this months ago on my channel, and I need to kind of wrap this up here. Like I said, my hubby is home. But I talked about this months ago on my channel, how there's going to be a line drawn in the sand. And that line is becoming more and more prevalent. You cannot sit in the middle anymore. You're either for this stuff entirely, or you are completely against it. There is no in between. And as we're seeing with Black Lives Matter, because again, you cannot be on the fence with it. They have sucked in the trans community, which happened freaking 2015, 2016, thanks to feminism, mind you. You're either for or you're against. There is no heretic policy to where, oh, well, I'm okay with this, but I'm not okay. No. And I have lost quite a few people due to the argument with Black Lives Matter or this trans stuff. I mean, I've been called all kinds of nasty names. I've been called racist. I've been told I have white privilege. I'm transphobic. I'm a freaking zealot. I mean, I've heard it all, I believe. But yeah, it's getting to the point where you're either on this side or this side. There is no middle. Let me see. Let's see. Whoa, where I'm from in Ohio, there's a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses, and their take on the Bible is a little, well, different. I'm not too familiar with them. I do know that they don't celebrate the holidays. I will have rights as a gay person. Let's see, well, under the U.S. law, you do have rights as a person, regardless of who you are. Well, then, giving children hormones should be against the law. That is wrong, especially without parents' permission. Well, it's not, because you have government officials who are pushing this shit too, Russia Bunny. So you do have activist governors. It is an agenda, and they prey upon people who are mentally ill, who have some sort of just mental deficiencies, social quirk, who are trauma victims, anyone who is considered a detriment to society, they prey upon. That's with medical issues and whatnot. Again, if you actually break down everyone who comes out as trans, you will find trauma, medical issues, some sort of mental deficiency, or they're on the spectrum, or it's all four. I mean, there's more variables than that, obviously, but you get my point. Let's see. Well, yeah, I do not live in the U.S. I live in Canada. Oh, Canada is much worse there, Russia Bunny. It is now, what was it? I believe that they ruled CPS can come in and take the children away if the parents do not affirm the children, which has been creeping down here for a while now. There's a story out of California where a 6-year-old boy was given estrogen against his will. What? Hold on, let me look that up here. I'm gonna change this to the mainstream. Let me see. I'm gonna pop that in. There we go. Holy shit! What? Okay, wow. No, this is recent. 4 days ago. What in the... What is this? Okay, what is... Get out of here. All these freaking ads. I don't need them. Wow, this is Los Angeles Times. Boy 16 was given estrogen for behavioral disorder while in LA Juvenile Hall. What in the... A 6-year-old boy being held at Los Angeles County Juvenile Hall developed enlarged breasts after he was prescribed estrogen to treat a behavioral problem? Since when the... A move that baffled doctors who said the treatment defied medical logic, according to a lawsuit filed last month. The teen, whose identity is being withheld because of his age, was diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder, or ODD, 2 days after he was arrested and housed at Eastlake Juvenile Hall in 2019. The lawsuit said medical records reviewed by the Times showed that the teen's testosterone levels were slightly high when the doctor who diagnosed him prescribed daily dose of estrogen. What in the shit? Estrogen regulates the development of female sexual characteristics and reproduction. Men produce the hormone at much lower levels. Men barely have any estrogen. After taking approximately 13 daily doses of the hormone, the teen was diagnosed with gynecomastia, defined as enlargement of swelling of breast tissue in males whose estrogen level is too high, medical records show. ODD, a behavior condition that is sometimes suffered by patients with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is normally treated with therapy, said James McGow, a professional clinical psychiatry at UCLA. Estrogen is not a treatment for ODD. I can't be more emphatic about that, McGow said. You won't find a reference anywhere that supports the use of estrogen for ODD. The lawsuit described the treatment as experimental. What in the... What am I reading? The doctor who's prescribed the estrogen, Danny Wang, cannot be reached for comment. Okay, who is this clown? Get out of here. Dr. Danny Wang. Hold on, I want to see who this is. Ooh, stop it. What in the freaking crap am I reading? California radiologist. Is this the same? Pediatrics, Danny Wang. Danny Seawing, so we don't have... There's too many. I don't know who it is, unless we get a middle initial. Actually, let me type this in. Hold on. Bet you I'm gonna get a freaking hit. Let's see. Kaiser Permanente. I recognize the name. Radiologist. Okay, here's another article of it. It says Danny Wing and David O. at the County of Los Angeles on behalf of the boy. David O. Okay, now that we have kind of have where he's at. What in the hell? Wing loss. Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I can't. MD Los Angeles. The family medal. Uh-oh. Get out of here. Oh, jeez. Get out of here. Okay, that... Oh, yeah, they did this behind the parents' back. Wow. Okay, get out of here, except Cookie. Get out of here. I do apologize. I hate all these stupid things. Okay. Shoot. This one says 30 doses. Oh, prescribe 30, only given 13. The boy tried to refuse to take estrogen due to feeling increasingly terrible, miserable, and ill, and eventually taken off the medication. Yeah, it's damage done. Let's see. Department. Okay, here we go. Department of Health Services for comment. Hey, there's a little bit more. Sorry, I'm kind of clicking around because I'm trying to see. Some articles release specified information, some don't. Mark really... Received a newly filed complaint against LA County, which described a teenage boy who was... at East Lake, as the hall is often known, Javier. So we have the kid's name. Name is Javier. And then a urine test. Dr. Danny Wang that Javier had elevated. Okay, we need to figure out who this freaking doctor is. Vascular, interventional. I want to say it's this one. Because they won't release his, working since the... Oh, this one gives Sacramento Bee. Okay, this one gives a little bit more info. I'm going to click out of these. So, the doctor's been working out of the county for 12 years. Are they still posting that? What is this? Oh, that's saving miles. Yeah, that has to do with saving miles. Another kid trying to be turned into a girl by his wackadoo mom. He looked 8. The child does not know what he wants. Oh yeah, Russia Bunny, the child is autistic. So, not interested. Mm-mm. Estrogen as an experimental my ass. We need to figure out who the heck these two are. Let's see, this might be, I wonder if that's a co-doctor of his. Huh. I'm gonna have to dig into that. And I'm not gonna do it on stream because this stream will go on forever then. But yeah, that's pretty much what be going on. This is pretty much what we're up against. And now they're targeting kids in jail. What in the freaking hell? It's not enough to use CPS. It's not enough to use judges and lawyers and pediatrics. We're now going after kids who are in Juvie Hall. And I bet you Jerville is not the only boy that they're doing this to. Since when is estrogen a treatment for any boy with any medical issue? Oh wow, that's one to put on the page. Who the heck? Roughneck MP. I'm going to put that out there. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I know Blair White is against children transitioning to reality, against it for a while. Did Blair though? Because, there was, you know what, screw that, let me show you something. One momento. Because no, Blair likes to flip-flop. Hold on. Let me find it. Hold on. Because no, Blair's just as the rest. Go straight crazy like the one king. Then got to experience, see if it's wrong. Hold on. Because with Blair, and this ticked me off so much, is that Blair tried to get, let me see, oh, where is it? Because I clipped it. Hold on. Nope, I found it. Okay. Hold on. So I will give you the link to this tweet here. So this was in regards to when Save James was blowing up, and some of the big YouTubers started to touch it, like Omegon, Blair, and I believe there's one other one. But listen, this bit you can tell was added because if you go and watch the video, there's this little section, it's literally 1 minute long, where you can notice that there's like a jump cut, there's something weird, it was either thrown on or just listen. Let me see if I have my desk audio up. Oh, nope, I don't. Kind of helps if I have it up, doesn't it?
Yes, you know, in the off chance that the mother of James is viewing this video, I don't want to come across as I am attacking you. In fact, I would like to publicly reach out via this video if you watch it and say, let's have a conversation. I would love to talk to you. I am not some random internet troll. I am not some anonymous person on Twitter. I am not some hater. I'm a trans woman myself, and if anything, I've walked this path that your son and yourself may seem to think is the right path for him, and I'm actually willing to talk to both of you. You know, it's so sad, but I hope to God that James lucks out in the sense that he grows up and truly is trans and also doesn't want a family, because those are the only two circumstances that would validate the choices being made for him right now, is if he both is really trans, to which he won't regret the medications, and that he doesn't want kids, because it already seems to be decided up for him right now that that's the case. So
I'm going to rewind that just real quick.
You know, it's so sad, but I hope to God that James lucks out in the sense that he grows up and truly is trans and also doesn't want a family, because those are the only two circumstances that would validate the choices being made for him right now, is if he both is really trans, to which he won't regret the medications, and that he doesn't want kids, because it already seems to be decided up for him right now that that's the case. So
Don't catch that. This idiot tried to get the mom on and Georgilus with James, no less, for an interview to discuss the path forward of James transitioning. So I even alerted Jeff Younger to this shit, and by the way, at this point of time, both Anne and Jeff had been ordered by Judge Kim Cooks, who was presiding during this time of this case, to not go talk to the media. Yeah, I have. Blair is just as nutty as Riley, just in a different spectrum, different way. Blair also did an interview with someone who did transition from male to female at a very young age. You would have to go look on Blair's channel. Actually, no, screw that. Let me see if I can find it for you. Yeah. Blair, from what I understand and from what I saw, Blair kind of jumped on the bandwagon and even talked to someone else about the Save James situation while trying to get an interview with Anne Georgilus, bringing James on to discuss the path forward. I could not believe my ears after that entire video, which I did put the link to the video, by the way, that this was clipped from. So I liked everything about the video until that last part that got thrown on at the end. Let me. Where are you? Oh, that time. Oh yeah, here we go. I started to watch it and I got angry. I cannot finish it. I transitioned at age 10, talk with trans teen. So, it was an interview just to kind of get like their side, the young boy who is now trying to live as a girl. But yeah, I didn't finish the interview. But the fact that Blair is interviewing trans kids, yes, it's good to get both sides of the story, but with this particular subject, I don't care how you want to paint it. I don't care how pretty you want to make it. It's never okay. It's not healthy. Dollars to dimes, that little boy was brainwashed. Either something happened to him, had some sort of mental deficiency, autistic, whatever. There's something there, and I don't know if it's gone into the interview. I could not finish sitting through that bullshit. No, a lot of people didn't really comment on it, and that little clip that I did only had 6 hits. So, yep. So, yeah, no, Blair is a drama person. From what? Because Blair even jumped on the crap, and I don't hang around the beauty community. They're all freaking batshit nuts. But some of the little snippets I've seen of that, Blair would jump onto shit. So I don't give. At first, I kind of respected Blair, and I've seen the older videos of before the transition. So, but Blair does like to flip flop. And also, a little fact about Blair. 3 things, by the way. Blair talked about getting the the bottom surgery, but then refrained from doing it because it increased in depression and suicide. I wonder why. Anybody who knows the basics, just the basics of hormones, anytime you inject a synthetic hormone that is opposite of your natural hormone balance, or natural of the balance you're supposed to have, you get depressed, you get suicidal. That's why a lot of people who are post-op have higher suicide rates, and it's not because society won't affirm them, it's because they are still taking cross-sex hormones, and they have to do so for the rest of their life. So there's thing number 1. Thing number 2, Blair had temporarily, as Blair claimed, that they stopped taking hormones, cross-sex hormones, to try to have a family. There was discussions of a surrogate mom, and it never went far. Recently, the last thing I heard, and this is not me shitting on Blair, but this is just an example. If you literally go through and watch the breakdown, Blair called off their engagement to their boyfriend, or fiance, now ex-fiance, because of his heavy drinking, which I pointed this out in another video. Why is he heavily drinking? And it's not just to do with his personal issues. Again, that is not a shit on, haha, I told you so. That is literally a breakdown of something that does not freaking work and is not healthy at all. There's people who claim to have made it work, but if you actually go in and break down this stuff, you will find a lot of unhealthy behaviors and a lot of unhealthy crap in that relationship. So again, this is not me going after Blair, but this is just an example because Blair was brought up in the chat. Blair is not healthy. I do not give 2 flying shits what comes out of that person's mouth because of what I've seen. No. Blair is sometimes referred to as a token tranny, but Blair has been known to flip-flop on stuff. So I don't really give 2 flying shits what Blair claims to advocate for, because Blair is not always consistent, as I showed you with the Save James stuff, and that was not taken out of context. If anything, like I said, you go and you watch the entire video, you'll see a jump cut between the actual video, which I like before that little clip, and then you'll see that little clip just by itself, whether it got thrown on or whatever, but there's a jump cut in between it. So, for those of you, I don't know what more to say. Freaking ridiculous, man. Let's see. Oh, I remember this now. This happened in Texas. Yeah, but I do agree a child cannot be going through a sex change. Yeah, I know Blair renegade on the undercarriage procedure, probably because he couldn't put his tallywhacker into a head. So, rough way of saying it. But, yeah, and I need to wrap it up here because I've been going on for quite a while. And there's other things that I need to go and do. So this was an impromptu stream. No, I'm not back to streaming, but this is what a lot of people are up against. And there's more and more parents who are waking up and realizing that there's an agenda, because there is. If you pay attention to what the trans ideology is now attached to, which is socialism and Marxism, which is attached to Black Lives Matter, it's all meshing into one conglomerate giant. It is out to destroy the nuclear family, which in return destroys the foundation of the country. This is not conspiracy theory. This is not some sort of freaking thing I pulled out of my ass. This is a lot of people have woken up to it. Is more and more are realizing what exactly is going on. Now, there has been a lot of faults. It's not just one person's fault. There's many people to blame. We have leaders who have refused to freaking do anything about it. We have Republicans who wanted to keep their seat of power, so they did not take a stand. We have conservatives who are too chicken shit to do anything or even talk about it. We have Democrats who are being used as puppets and screaming and yelling because they want to keep their seat of power, so they're going to go right full with it. I'll give you an example. We have Mayor Jenny of Seattle, Washington, who let Chaz and Chop come into play because of Black Lives Matter. Had nothing to do with George Floyd. Destroyed that entire area, that 6-mile radius or 6-block radius. Historical buildings were defaced and whatnot. She is now having her position recalled. I'm not bullshitting you. It is to the point to where a judge has allowed a petition to go through to recall votes for her. They're going to put someone else in her seat, and I hope to God it's someone who knows what the fuck they're doing. This is how bad it's gotten. You have, what's another one? You have Lightfoot here in Chicago just being dumb. Thank God our governor, Pritzker, is kind of being smart about it. Chicago's now on their own. For those of you who don't remember, I live in Illinois. We used to be attached to Chicago's bullshit in regards to COVID. Not anymore. Riots broke out in Chicago. What's another place? New York City. And you have their governor and their mayor being totally idiotic, by the way. De Blasio was literally, with Black Lives Matter, defacing the parking lot in front of Trump Tower. So, again, there's multiple people to blame here, either for their horrible, horrible decisions or their lack of action. Or shall we say, misaction. So, but yeah. I don't have a GoFundMe for the current case. I don't have court docs yet, but those are the parties involved. This is what's going on. I really, guys, encourage you to really start digging into stuff, but be careful because it is a rabbit hole. I can only take so much at a time because it will literally keep you up at night. It will actually depress you with just what's going on. Again, this is an attack on the nuclear family from multiple sides. Whether it's degrading mother's rights, father's rights, both parents' rights, mother and father. CPS trying to snatch children. The trans cult trying to indoctrinate children, which they're using the schools now to do so. And again, I'm going to reiterate, there's a line drawn in the sand. Becoming more prominent. You're either going to be on the one side or the other. There is no in between. There is no middle. You're either going to be for it all or against it all. That is the traditional stance or the actual stance when it comes to the Bible. And let me also point out to you, because I've said this in my videos as well, as when, and this is against no one who is gay, whatever. But when same-sex marriage was first legalized, you had a bunch of Christians and conservatives come out saying that there's going to be a slippery slope of bestiality, pedophilia, which, by the way, that has been on the back burner coming to the forefront because now you have pedophiles or MAPs have attached themselves to the LGBT, and there's parts of the LGBT who have accepted them. So as people are saying, well, these are plants, these aren't, yeah, no, they're part of their group now, so, and then what was the other thing I had? Look up what is ingrained in queer theory. It's pedophilia, boy love, mostly. The founders were pedophiles themselves and ingrained it into queer theory. So this isn't a haha, I told you so. This is, you need to wake the hell up now. I've been screwing about this. Other people are now starting to see things for what it is. People who don't even believe in God are going like, yeah, no, we're done. We're done. Anyway, let me touch base with the chat one more time, and I'm going to wrap it up here. It's damn near futile anymore because if you bring out any facts against the radical left, they just go as a firearm enthusiast, I do love some Hassan pepper rabbit stew. Lol. Anyway, though, I'm going to end it off here. I will see you guys in the next video. and hopefully I can get more information on this one case out of Arizona. I haven't heard any updates in regards to Miles or James. But yeah, I'm serious. Really need to start looking into this stuff now, and you do need to pick a side. That's no hate. That is, you're either gonna be swept into the bullshit because you keep drinking the freaking Kool-Aid and you think that you can have both of two worlds. You can't, because they clash and they collide and they're at war with one another. Or you're going to be on the other side that completely ousts this shit and is totally against it. I've already picked my side. I'm not hateful towards anybody, but nope. I've said it on my channel. I'm done. I don't have a tolerance for it anymore. There's no middle ground for me. I mean, I have people of all creeds in my Discord that follow me on Twitter, here on YouTube. This is probably going to lose me subscribers. Again, I do not care. I have taken multiple stands before. I have lost family members. I have lost friends. I have lost followers. People in regards to whether or not they like me for my beliefs. I don't care. I really don't care. I've had my own struggles. I've had a lot of my own hardships, and there's a lot of stuff that I have been, I don't want to use the word enlightened to, more like made aware of, and how I have personally related to it. So that's how it is. So you're either going to be for this stuff completely, or you're going to be entirely against it. That is where we're going. We have violence breaking out. We have riots. We have people getting attacked in the streets now. Whether it's over this COVID crap, BLM, LGBT, whatever. So a lot of people are going to learn the hard way if they don't wake up soon. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that is.